Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Here is 10 Minute Tuesday, where I do the reading so you don't have to. Everybody, welcome to 10 Minute Tuesday. Today we are talking about savings accounts. Now remember, as I always say, I am not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, please consult your attorney or a financial advisor. I just give this advice based on my reading, based on my advanced degrees, and based on my life experience. All right, let's get started. So today's topics are savings accounts. We're going to cover 6 different savings accounts and some brief description and features of each. We have traditional savings accounts. We have specialty savings accounts. We have high yield savings accounts. We have a CD or certificate of deposit savings account. We have a cash management account, and we have a money market account. Those are the 6 accounts that we are covering today. All right, and if you see me look down, I'm looking at my notes. All right, so first is your traditional savings account. A traditional savings account is a savings account held at your brick and mortar type bank. This is like locally, we have Chase, we have PNC, we have Premier Bank. These are your banks that are your neighborhood banks on the corner, whichever. And these accounts are usually traditional. They usually don't have a high interest rate. I'll put an interest rate of my particular bank or 1 or 2 of them. I think it's like 0.01 or something. Very, very small savings rate. But you can, when we think savings account, it's usually the first account that we think of when we mention savings account. So it's just a traditional savings account. A pro to these savings accounts is it's easy for you to go into the bank and tell the teller, hey, I want to deposit $500 into my savings account. You are going to accrue some interest, but just not very much. And a con to this type of account, it just doesn't have a lot of interest. You're just not going to make a lot of money on it. So now, some of these accounts are starting to get a little more, they're starting to get higher rates because they want to compete with the high yield savings accounts, which we're going to cover. So they're starting to get a little bit higher rates now, but traditionally, they don't have too high of a rates. Second account is a money market account. These accounts are also typically held at your brick and mortar banks. Sometimes they're not. And back to the traditional savings account, these usually have a minimum deposit and a minimum balance. So if you don't have that much money, a traditional savings account might not be for you. Now, back to the money market account. Money market accounts, sometimes they have lower rates for you to get started, but they have more perks of like a checking account. Some of them have debit cards attached. A lot of these are available at your brick and mortar banks, but sometimes they have them online. So it's kind of pretty similar to a high yield savings account. They have a little higher rates. So one advantage to a money market account, it has higher rates, but a disadvantage is you may have a minimum balance and a minimum deposit for that type of account. So if you want a higher rate, this may not be the particular account for you. The next account that we're going to talk about is my favorite account, is a high yield savings account. So nowadays, there's a lot easier access to high yield savings account. A lot of us in the budgeting community, we use high yield savings accounts. So a couple of examples: Ally, Capital One. I think it's one called SoFi or something like that. I think American Express has one. These are high rates, and I have Ally particularly. And then every time I turn around, I'm getting an email from Ally. Your rate increased again. Your rate increased again. Your rate increased again. I think mine is now up to like 4.5 or something, 4.5%. So and high yield savings accounts, which means your APY, your annual percentage yield, is going to be higher. And then you're going to earn that monthly. Okay. Remember, these are brief descriptions of the accounts. It can get really deep, but we're not going there. We only got 10 minutes, honey. So we're only going to go just give a brief description of each. So that means if I deposit $1,000 every month, I'm going to earn 4.5 or whatever percent on that $1,000, which is pretty good. And a good thing about these is a lot of them have what you call bucket or folders. So like if I want to deposit $1,000 for my car and $1,000 for my vacation into that account, I can separate the bucket. So kind of tricks your mind into thinking that you have like $1,000 here and $1,000 here, even though it's all in one account. Kind of gives it a separate place to go, but you're still going to earn money on that total balance. So you're not going to earn 4.5% on the one balance and 4.5% on this balance. You're going to earn 4.5% on that $2,000, for example. So an advantage to these is, of course, the high interest rate. That's a good advantage to it. And then there's little to no deposit. Some of these don't require a deposit and they just open them for you. Some of them require you to just like transfer it and attach it to your checking account. I will tell you, like my Ally, it takes a couple days for that to transfer over. So that could be a disadvantage. Another disadvantage is really, really hard to get that money out. I know Capital One, you can go to like CVS or something like that to deposit, but it's inconvenient. It's not very convenient. You can transfer it from your bank, but like I said, it takes days. Okay. Sometimes it takes days. So if you're like me, that's bad at saving, it's a good account for you because it's hard to get it. Now, some of those accounts, I'll warn you, some of those accounts have debit cards attached. If it has a debit card attached, then you can use it as a debit card. So you might not want to, if you're not good at saving, even though I have a debit card for mine, I never use it. But even if you're good at saving, you might not good at saving, you might not want to get a debit card attached to that. Okay. The next account is a CD, or certificate of deposit. This is through a bank, typically your brick and mortar bank, and this is timed savings. So you can get this CD and have it for 30 days. You can have it for 60 days. You can have it for 6 years. It just depends on what you want your maturity to be. So during that period, that specific time period, you're gonna earn that interest rate. Okay. So let's say you want to do it for 6 months. During that 6 months, you're going to earn that, whatever that percentage rate is. Now, an advantage to this is you're going to earn a pretty decent interest rate, and they're pretty easy to open. You just go to your bank. Hey, I want to do a certificate of deposit. Basically, it's letting the bank borrow your money. Disadvantage. Let's say you fall on hard times and you need to get that money out. Well, you're going to pay a penalty to get that money out. You're going to pay a penalty. And it's harder to get it out. But if you let the CD reach maturity, you can either roll it over to another CD and earn money on that higher rate or on that higher amount of money, or you can just cash it out and say, hey, I'll take my winnings. The next account is a cash management account. This type of account is held like basically with a brokerage. It's basically kind of like an online type thing. And like you say, I have this $50,000. I'm not ready to invest it yet, but I want you to hold it. So that's basically how that goes. The brokerage holds it for you until you're ready to invest. An advantage to this, it's technically not actual savings account, but like I said, you invested through a brokerage. So an advantage is higher rates, but a disadvantage, it may be a higher rate, but it's not technically investing. And the last type of savings account is a specialty savings account. Specialty savings account could include a 401k, not a 504, that's a business, a 401k, a 403b, and a Roth IRA or Roth IRA. These are accounts that are typically held through your job sometimes, but your bank has them and you're able to open those accounts. A big disadvantage is a huge penalty. So for example, if you decide to take out $3,000, you're probably going to be paying anywhere between $700 and $1,000 to early withdraw that money. But if you let it sit there for 10 years, it starts to mature and you don't have to have as much of a penalty, if one at all. So if you quit a job and you have a 401k, a Roth IRA, My suggestion is that you roll it into another type of account. That way you don't lose any money on it. All right, and again, as I mentioned earlier, I am no financial expert or advisor. I just use these based on my advanced degrees and life experiences. I will see you next Tuesday for our next topic. Bye.